Yeah, who will share? Yeah, anyone? Prakash, Saurabh.
Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
So yesterday we learned repository design pattern,
Hmm.
in which we learned that domain mediates between domain and data mapping layer. That means we call, or maybe call as it's acts as an abstraction between applications and data source. So the benefits to using this repository design pattern, like it's minimize the
And meaning of the
decouples the applications like Dapper and entity framework, etc. Um, Also, we are learned that to using generic like repository and ID generic method and for specific function. That's it.
oh, Joyce, please do club for Spandan, right? Who's next? Yeah, next one, please do share your learning. Bandeshwari.
Yes, discussed. But yesterday we learned repository. We have created interface, we have created repository. Also, we have done the paging.
Mm-hmm.
This we learned yesterday.
Bandeshwari, your voice is breaking. Can you say again what you're saying?
Am I audible now?
Hmm.
Yes. Yesterday we have gone through the repository and paging. We did that. We do the hands-on on that and run the application. In the repository, we learned like two categories. One is for generic and another one is for specific repository, if required.
So for paging, what we use?
We installed X phase list
Okay.
entity framework.
So in entity framework, what method we used for the paging?
Paging model.
Paging mode is not the part of the entity framework. It is the class we created.
Okay.
I'm asking which method of link we use for paging.
Come again.
In link, what method are used for paging? When you write the entity framework query, we use their link syntax. So in the link syntax, what methods are there?
Couldn't recall.
We will use static page list. Static page lists.
No, in the link query, if you remember, we use the method skip and take. Have you seen? Have you remembered?
Yeah. Skip
Yes.
is there.
So these are the method we use over there.
Yes.
Okay, let's proceed. So thank you, Vandeshwari. Guys, please clap for the Vandeshwari as well.
Thank you.
So do we have any other query? Are good to go ahead? So yesterday we have done with the paging, listing, and we have done with the design pattern as well. Today let's start with one or more design pattern that is about the dependence injection. How many people know about the dependence injection? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So when it is coming to the dependence injection, let's understand it with the help of an example. What is actual dependence injection and how we can use it? So dependence injection can be understand with the help of a pretty much simple example, like we having class A and the class B, and class A need the class B to perform its job. So in that case, class B is a dependency of class A. And even in the real life project, what are the various layers we create in our application? What are the various external services we have? So these are the example of some commonly used dependency in our application, isn't it? And if you're going back to the example of class A and the class B, like how the class A can manage the class B dependency. So class A having three options. Like class A should create the class B object. This is a straightforward approach. The second one is here, the class A should create the class B object, or class A should create the class B, should fetch the class B object.
Hello. Hello.
So in the first two cases, the class A has to do something.
Swandu, Swandu.
Guys, can you mute yourself,
I
please?
phone पे टिक लो.
So in the first two cases, class A has to do something. But there is a one more case. In that case, class A will receive the class B dependency automatically. This third case is known as dependency injection. And in this third case, class A is not doing anything. Class A receiving the class B dependency automatically. So this third style comes into the inversion of control style. And guys, one more thing here, when we write the code for dependency injection, it's hardly 2-line code. Dependency injection is all about understanding the concept. So make sure you are able to understand it properly as I'm explaining here. A common example, let's say if you are going to relate you with the real life example, let's say you are willing to buy a phone or a laptop, anything which you're willing to buy. So first option is here, just go to the market, then purchase the laptop or phone. So in that case, you are just like the first case. The second case, you don't go to the market, just order it online and do the payment, and they will deliver your laptop at your home. But there is a third style as well, like instead of putting your own effort, instead of putting your own money, let's say somebody has gifted the laptop to you, like someone has delivered that thing to you. So the third style is known as receiving. You just receive the laptop as a gift. You receive the laptop as a surprise gift, like this way. So this third style is known as inversion of control. So what is IOC here? IOC is here. It is a programming style where we change the normal flow of the program. So as per the programming rule, class A should create class B object. But we are saying the class A will receive the class B object automatically whenever it is required. So it is known as inversion of control. So here dependencies are instantiated by a framework or runtime environment and supplied to the desired class. So this is about the IOC. And if you will see the advantages, you will find out to make the code loosely coupled. It allows us to write the more test cases. Because for the unit testing, your code should be loosely coupled. If your code is not loosely coupled, you cannot write down unit test cases. And what are the various IOC implementation? These are the various IOC implementation: service locator pattern, event, delegate, dependency injection. And when it is coming to dependency injection, so dependency injection is a software design pattern which implement the IOC. So whatever we have gone through so far, it was theory. When it is coming to the theory implementation, the dependency injection is one of them. So it allows us to develop the loosely coupled software components. So whenever there is a requirement to build the loosely coupled software component, then dependency comes into the picture. The example is here nowadays, if you're looking at, we having so many vendors who are providing the payment gateway API, SMS gateway API, email gateway. So at any moment, you are able to use any vendor API. So that is dependency. Whenever the dependency is required, we can inject into our system and start using it. So we are not designing every time the logic, we are not designing every time the database table structure. As per the vendor API, like vendor service, we already designed the system 5 years back, 3 years back. Now, whenever it is required to take the online payment, to send the email, so required dependency for the email and the payment gateway, we can integrate our system and start using them. So the overall purpose of DI is to make the code maintainable. So if I'm willing to maintain the code, then it is DI. So what are the dependency injection implementation? So we having the three method of dependency injection: constructor, setter or property injection, method injection. And guys, when it is coming to the implementation, mainly we use constructor injection method. So to understand this injection in detail, let's say we having a iService interface, and this iService interface having the two different implementation, service 1 and service 2. Then we having a client, that client class is using the either service 1 dependency, either service 2 dependency. So these services we can inject into the client class. So if you're looking at the code example, let's say this is my simple class. So this is my client class. And the client class, what I'm doing, I'm not creating this service 1 class object and service 2 class object. What we are doing, we are just creating the instance of iService. And this iService is implemented by the service 1, and this is implemented by service 2 over here like this way. And in the constructor label, we are passing the dependency like this way. So whenever we are willing to call the method using this underscore service, I'm calling it like this way. But if you're looking at this client class, it is not decided which implementation of service we are using, whether we are using service 1, whether we are using service 2. It is going to be decided on the runtime. So when you will run this code, that time we will create the service 1 class object. And whenever we will create the client class object, that time this dependency we will pass. So when we will pass the service 1 dependency, so it is start calling the service 1 class method. But if you want to change the dependency, then create the service 2 class object, then again reinitialize the object. So when you will again reinitialize the object, that time you start using the service 2 class dependency. So at the client class label, we are not deciding which class dependency, or like which class service class we are using. It is completely going to be decided on runtime. The similar way, we will have a IUC container, we will have a runtime environment where we define the mapping between the services, and then we start using them simply. So here we are not defining at the compile time, like which service class object it will use. We are deciding at runtime. Even if you're looking at the code level as well, if you will see, if you will open your yesterday code, can you open your yesterday code? There also we did the same thing. So we having here, let's say CSM, and let me make here in one more day, let's say day 7. I'm renaming it to, let's say, design patterns. I just rename it. This way. So just open your yesterday project. And if you will look into your yesterday project, you will find out in your controller class, what we are doing. We are not here calling the unit of work class. Do you think we are calling? We having here I unit of work, and here we are doing the constructor injection over here. So somewhere we have defined the mapping of this interface with the class. Where we have defined the dependency in unit of work. In the unit of work, we have done the registration of the service. So whenever I need the unit of work class instance, so I just define the mapping. So I unit of work is mapped with this unit of work class. So whenever I will inject through the constructor this I unit of work, it should provide this unit of work class object. So this is an example of construct injection we already did yesterday. Same I'm trying to explain with this example. And if you're comparing, if you're looking at the property injection, so we can use property injection as well. In the property injection, what we are doing, we just setting this time a property. So this is my private field and this is my property this way. Service. So instead of passing the everything at the time of calling the client class object, I'm assigning it to the property this way as well. Similar way we having here the service to. So this service to object I'm assigning over there, so that I can call this serve method of service one and the service two. So the difference between constructor injection and property injection you will find out. In the constructor injection, every time if you're willing to change the dependency, you have to create the new object. If you will see in the previous example, whenever I'm passing this one, a new object has been created. When I'm passing again S2, again a new object has been created. But in case of property injection, we are not creating the new object. The existing object I'm using, only property value I'm changing over there. This is similar to one more real life example. Let's say right now we are using the Vodafone number. Let's say Airtel number. Now let's say you are willing to switch into the let's say Geo, or let's say in some other network. So in that case, you need to change the SIM card, isn't it? Because I'm not changing the my mobile number, but for changing the service provider, I need to change the SIM card. SIM card changing just like I'm reinitializing everything. But if you will notice sometime when you will go into the roaming, in the roaming, without changing your SIM card, there you can capture the another service provider network. Let's say we can use Airtel, we can use, let's say, the Geo or some other, only changing the property of the SIM, like by searching the network. That is just like a property injection. Object is same, but you able to make the call from different network in roaming. So how it is happening? It is happening because of property injection style. Is it clear? So this is about the property injection. Even I try to relate it with the real life example so that you will understand it more clearly. There is a third example also here. In the third example, whenever you will call the method, because sometimes it happens in a class, you having a method that having a specific dependency. This is having a specific dependency. And this method we are calling rarely. We are not calling this method frequently. So in that case, whenever actually this method we will call, that time we pass the dependency. We will not pass the dependency already at the time of creating the object. Only at the time of calling that method, dependency we will pass. So this is the example of method injection we have. So do you have any query regarding these three implementation of dependency injection? Is it clear? If you have any query, please do ask anyone. Suvra, Tapan, Prakash, Raghavendra, Ritika, anyone else? If you don't
I
have, we
need
can
to know about the inversion of control.
Inversion of control is a theory which says, if you're looking at this is a theory, this is a concept where the flow of a program we are changing from the normal way. So what is a normal way? Normal way is here class A should create class B object. Even this is the thing we used so far, isn't it? This is a normal way, but we are not using here the normal way. What we are doing? We actually providing the dependency of class B to class A whenever it is required. So this is inversion of control where we are changing the normal flow of the program. Anything else?
How it is different from factory pattern?
In the factory pattern, we call that class explicitly, which is providing the object. But here we are not calling that class explicitly, it is providing to us automatically. At the registration label, you can use factory pattern if you're willing to use it.
Can you go to the slide where example?
Can you say again?
Can you go to the slide where we have the example, code example?
For which? This one.
Yes, dependency injection, the constructor
Construct injection example we have already did. When it is coming to implementing the managing the dependency, we use everywhere the construct injection. This is example where we have implemented the construct injection. So if you will see, I'm injecting here the interface of iMetova. Same, I just shown in the picture here. I'm using here iService. And this is the
If I want to
iService.
add one more interface to inject, then how I will do that?
Separated by comma, you can inject it.
Okay. For that, I need to, if I use the, okay, constructor overloading.
Your voice is breaking. Can you say again, please?
We can do this thing by constructor overloading also. Please correct me if I'm
In constructor overloading, the thing is you need to create this class object explicitly. Can you create this class object explicitly when you are serving a request in ASP.NET Core? No. This class object is automatically created by the ASP.NET Core request pipeline, isn't it? So the example which I shown you where it is here only for understanding purpose to understand the concept of constructor injection, how we doing, so that we will relate it, like instead of defining the service and service to class objects explicitly, we are passing it runtime. But when it is coming to the real life, in the real life,
we
we
create
never
the
write the
object
code
of
like this way.
client one. One more confusion. Here you create the client C1 equal to new client and you pass the S1, the service one. If I put another parameter argument in the public client service iService service, then comma, then another service I have iService one. Then what you will change in the client object in main method?
Sir, the
Do
thing
I?
is, if you were looking at we passing here one dependency,
Yes.
if you're willing to pass one more, add it separated by comma, iService one, then service one.
Okay.
Similar way here, it would be the iService one, then underscore service one.
Okay.
Then assign here this dot underscore service one equal to service one.
Yes. Then my question is, then what do I need to change in the main method in client which I already
Main
passed the
method also,
S1?
in main method also need to pass it S1 comma S2.
Then I have to change everywhere where I have used already, right?
Yeah, you have to change it because now you are using two services, two different services.
Okay, thank you.
So dependency injection does not mean you are not changing your code. It means it inside the client class, you are not doing so many changes to use the new service. Getting my point? Just think about with respect to this interface having two implementations, service one, service two. So in this case, when you're changing it from service one to service two, do you think I'm changing anything in my client class? No, I'm not changing anything in my client class. When I'm changing the iService interface implementation from service one to service two. But if you're having a altogether different service implementation, obviously need to change it. In case of same service implementation, it's not. The example, let's say you're having a payment gateway dependency. So it does not mean whether you're using PayUmoney, PayPal, Paytm. These are the same payment service. Any payment service I can use anytime without changing my client class. But if let's say you're using an email service, so email service is a different service. So obviously to inject the email service, you need to add a dependency again. Got it? Okay, even if you're looking at here in your repository class, here we having the unit of work, and the unit of work, if you will see, I'm not here explicitly creating the database context class object. Here also I'm passing the dependency of database context. So I'm passing here this database context dependency, and this one where we have defined in a startup class. So here we have defined the dependency. Anything else?
But like you said, I declared an interface iService, then I changed the service implementation service one to service two, whatever, any class. But when I created the client, but when I will have to use that client, anyhow, I will have to know whether I need to use the service one or service two, which class I need to pass.
So basically that thing we are passing here when I'm changing it from service one to service two. So at the time of constructor label, I'm changing it. I'm passing in OS2.
But anyhow, I will have to change my code, right? Meaning.
No, why you need to change the code? If taking the example of here, let's say this is the service for payment. All the payment gateways are doing the same thing. They take the user, they just take the credit card detail, it's in net banking, and what are the payment they're collecting, they're letting us know. It is the same thing. So it does not mean I'm using Paytm, I'm using PayUmoney, let's say I'm using PayPal. All the payment gateway are doing the same thing. So the wrapper I have created, this is my Paytm payment gateway implementation class. This is my PayPal payment gateway implementation class. Now the user can decide whether he is willing to pay using Paytm, whether he is willing to pay using PayPal. Let's say select a Paytm. So as per the Paytm, we pass the object over there on the runtime. And as per the Paytm, the flow will go on and we receive the response also from the Paytm because that implementation already done in the service class. Got it? So these are the services for doing the same thing. It's not the case they're doing the two different activity. Getting my point? Anything else? Shall we go ahead now? And guys, here when it is coming to the real implementation, what do? We actually having a containers. At this container label, we do the registration of our dependency. And whenever the dependency we needed, this container will provide the dependency instance. So ultimately the container is responsible for managing the lifetime of the object. So where it is, if I'm looking at here, this is my startup class and this is my configure service method. So in this configure service method, I'm doing the registration of my dependency. This is my I need to work service dependency registration. This is my database contact dependency. So whenever these objects are required, it would be provided by this container. So ASP.NET Core having a built-in container service, which is helping us to register the dependency and across the application, whenever the dependency is required, it would be provided by the ASP.NET Core automatically. So that's why in the controller class, whenever you need this unit of work class, I'm just using this I need to work automatically because of this dependency registration. ASP.NET provide this I need to work implementation with this unit of work this way. Otherwise, we cannot use the I need to work because the interface object we cannot create. We need the interface implemented class. So that is provided from here. Is it clear? So this is a picture you should understand always. So do you have any query regarding this one? Or shall we go ahead? So when it is coming to the ASP.NET Core, so ASP.NET Core built-in container service having 3 methods. The one method is singleton. In case of singleton, a service only one object would be created that is going to serve all the requests across the application. If you want to create only one object of the dependency that is going to serve all the requests across the application, let's say on that application you are making, then you should use singleton method to register that dependency. The second one we have in the scope. So scope is limited to a request. So what are the request scope we have in the request scope? If you are using that service object, let's say you are requesting the service object multiple times. So in that case, one object would be created of the dependency. So it means the one object of the dependency would be created as per the scope of the request. Then we having a transient. In the transient, it does not follow the scope, the request scope. Every time a new object would be provided to you whenever you are requesting that dependency instance. So in case of transient, there is no state management between two instances of the service. But in scope, there is a state management between the two objects of the service within the same request. In singleton, there is a state management in multiple user request. We get a singleton as we having the static. Are you able to got the difference between these 3 methods, singleton, scope, and transient? To understand it more clearly, I created this table. If I'm looking at the singleton, in singleton, one instance exists for all the requests. And scope, one instance exists for each request. It is at the scope level of the request. In transient, every time a new object would be provided, a new instance would be provided whenever you're requesting. So there is no state management. It is stateless completely. This is stateful as specific to the request. This is stateful for all requests. When it is coming to dispose, it disposes when the app shut down. It disposes when the request end. It is also disposed when the request end. The behavior is stateful and singleton for all requests. Its behavior is stateful for a single request. It is stateless for a request. Is it clear now? The difference between singleton, scope, and transient method.
Would you give one example for all the?
For example, for
Like
singleton
real life.
is here, let's say you having a email service. That email service dependency you want to add. And let's say any utility service you have. It can be file upload, it can be email send. So that utility service, we should register as a singleton behavior. If let's say something is related to the database context, let's say we are using here INET, we are using here database context. So this is specific to the scope of a request, because what are the DB changes we are doing in the request, they should committed by the one instance, not the multiple instance. So whenever we are using database context or repository, or let's say the services we having, you should use scope over there. Transient we should use whenever you need a stateless object. Means I need to isolate an object of the same service. I don't want to share the state between the object. So that time I should use transient method over there. Got it?
I didn't get for transient. Ajay,
Let's say you having here
real life.
one context for Oracle, another context you having for, let's say, SQL Server. So class is same, but by passing the connection string, I need to have the different context of the database. So in that case, I need to isolate it context. So there you can use transient over there.
Is it a link server? Like,
Sir, it is not a link server. It's about only managing the state. You have to first understand, do we need to share something between those two services object? If you don't want to share anything between those two services object, use stateless behavior. If you want to share something between two objects, use stateful. Got it?
okay.
Anything else? So just understand based upon the behavior. Do you need to share something across the request? Do you need to share only within a request? Do you want to not share anything? Then use stateless. Based upon the behavior, the method would be decided. Anything else? Okay, so if you're looking at the code label, we are using the scope because I'm using it with database. I can use a singleton also when I'm using a utility service. A utility service can be here, let's say you are willing to convert the date time into DDMMYY, let's say MMDDYY. You might have some utility classes, a utility service, or you might have a utility service for uploading the file. So use over this singleton. Got it? So dependency injection code we already completed. So I don't need to change anything. This is only to explain the concept so that you will understand it, how actually it is working. You don't have any confusion. If you have any query, please do ask. If you don't have, we can proceed to the next topic as per the plan.
Hello.
Hmm.
Surinder, actually, I want to know in the entity framework how the connection management takes place. That means when we are suppose one request is there, and we are doing some changes in the database, like we are saving the data or editing the data or deleting the data. So every request, so how the connection to the database management takes place. Usually in the Dapper or edu.NET, what we are doing, we have the object of connection class, and whenever we require or in some way we are opening it and we are closing that. So, but in this case, so I want to know when the connection object is open and how it is closed by in one request. That is the.
If you're looking at here, when I'm initializing my database context, that time the connection string we are passing over there. This way. And this is going to be happen at the application startup.
Yes.
So this is the application startup where we telling to the database context, this is going to be our connection string. So now whenever, if you're coming to this implementation one, so many things entity framework actually do in application memory. If let's say you're taking the example of this product controller, where I call the product repository for adding a new product.
Right.
Got it?
Right.
If let's say I added here 100 of product by running a loop, let's say by doing something else. So what will happen? This complete operation will happen in the application memory.
Right.
So far, it is not connected with the database and didn't make the connection with the database. It is doing everything in the application memory. As soon as you call the save changes method, that time it open the connection and save, or you can say it commit those changes. Whatever we have done in the application level.
Yes, that means you are saying just when we call the save changes method, at that time it open the connection and it do the changes in the database, and after changing it close the connection.
You're right.
Yes.
This is for command operation. Let's say when you're performing, when you're calling the add method, when you're calling the update method, when you're calling the delete method.
Right.
But when you're calling the, let's say, find method, or let's say when you're making the only read operation.
Right.
So in case of read operation, you can see, just understand it with the example with this specific one. So this is my read operation I'm performing. So in case of read operation, to understand this query execution in link. So link, the query is going to execute it as per two methods. Deferred execution. Have you heard about this concept?
No.
And immediate execution. So link query always executed as per these two concepts, deferred execution and immediate execution.
Right.
So by default, every query you will write in link, even in entity framework, because when I'm saying link, it means entity framework. Okay, so don't confuse. So when you write any query, by default, link query are executed as per the deferred execution. A deferred execution means later on, not immediately. Means I write this query, but this query is not going to execute at the same statement. This query would be executed when I will use this data variable. So I'm using this data.count, that time this query is going to be executed. Whenever I'm calling this data skip take and dot to list, that time this query is going to be executed. So this code label, there are execution of the query. This is the first and this is the second. Two times the same query we are going to execute. But let's say if I will change this to like this way, to list, what will happen? Now it is falling under this immediate execution. So in case of immediate execution, query would be executed immediately. Immediately means in the same statement where you wrote it. So I wrote this query because this is my query.
Yes.
So at the same statement, it will execute. So it is in now immediate execution. So how you will identify this is my deferred execution, this is my immediate execution. So this identification can be done based upon the operator, based upon the method you are using. So let's say if you're using the .toList method, if you're using, let's say .toArray, because these methods commonly we use.
Okay.
So what is happening? Actually, we are forcing this query to execute immediately because I'm converting it into the list. So I can only convert into the list when I will have the data. Otherwise, I cannot convert. Or you are using any aggregate method. Let's say I'm using here count method. What it is? It is an aggregate method. Count, sum, max, min. What are these? These are the aggregate method. So either you are using aggregate method, either you are forcing that query to execute to convert into list, to convert into array. That would be the immediate execution. So in this case, the data would be cached into this variable. It is just like a data set. Because in data set in ADO.NET, we made the connection and fetch the data and store in data set. After that, whatever you're doing on the data set. Am I right?
Yes, yes.
Same thing will happen. Now, whatever the operation you will do in this data, it would be only done in the application memory. It will not make a connection again to the server. But in deferred execution, every time when you will request it, it make a connection to database and fetch it. It is just like data reader. So deferred execution behavior is just like connected mode architecture. Immediate execution behavior is just like a disconnected mode architecture. Is it clear now?
Yes.
So this thing nobody tell you, even nowhere it is explained properly. So you have to understand first these two things, deferred execution and immediate execution. Then you will be able to understand how the things are happening. And this is the common mistake everyone did actually when they write the link query.
So, which one is better one? I think deferred execution is better or immediate execution?
It would be decided based upon a requirement. Requirement is, let's say, whatever the query I'm writing here, this query I'm willing to reuse because the possibilities here every time when I will use this query, data might change behind the scene. Or you can say you need always real-time data. So what you will prefer here there?
That is deferred execution.
Deferred one. But whenever you find, let's say one time DB hit we made, after that, we are fine to do the manipulation memory because our data is not changing behind the scene.
Right.
Use over there immediate execution because again and again you are not hitting the database. If let's say I made the two list here, what will happen? Only one DB hit would be there.
Yeah.
But if you will not put here those two lists, what will happen? 2 DB hit would be there. 1 DB hit for count the number of item. 1 DB hit only fetching the records as per the page size.
Yes, here it is retrieving the data as per the page size. Suppose I have 100 records. So is it receives only 10 records? Suppose my page size is 10. So is it retrieve only the 10 records?
Yeah, it is retrieving only 10 record. But if you will put here .to list, it will retrieve all the 1,000 of record in your table.
Yeah.
So let's say I didn't put over there two lists. Got the reason?
But here, suppose if when I click on the second page, so that time also another DB hit occurs, right?
Yeah. But in two list also same thing will happen. It again finds the 1,000 of record, return the 10 from them.
So in this case, every time there is a two hit to count the number of record once and to get the data, but it retrieves only the number of as per the page size only. That means if the page size is 10 from the database, it retrieves the 10 records and it bind that in that table, right?
Yeah, right.
Yes, actually we required this one actually.
So to understand this one, need to understand deferred execution, immediate execution. Until you will not understand it, nobody can use entity framework wisely. Everyone just do copy the code from Google and Stack Overflow. They just start using it. They never try to understand why our application performance going to down, why my query is not working as per the expectation and the size of the data is increasing. Initially, they will not make any impact. They look like same. But when the size in the database start increasing, this is start showing its behavior. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Even to understand this one, what I suggest you here, just refer the link category section in .NET Tricks, where I wrote the various articles on the link to explain about the enumerable, where, how to write the join condition, and what is the deferred execution, what is the immediate execution. Just refer this article. This article will explain everything about the link. So these are very important articles you should refer. Link I'm sharing with you.
Yes.
You can copy and save it.
Okay.
So just refer these very important thing about the link. If you want to
Sure.
improve your query skill when you're using the link syntax.
Okay.
So shall we go ahead now?
Okay. Salan, thank you.
So I hope we have done with the dependency injection, entity framework, and design patterns as well, which are again very important. So 3 design pattern we have done: repository, unit of work, and dependency injection. And these 3 design pattern people commonly use when they build their application with ASP.NET Core, and when it is coming to reusing the code. Got it? And guys, one more thing I will tell you here, the .NETix.com, we build using the same style as I'm teaching to you. We are using here repository design pattern. We are using here unit of work design pattern. We are using here dependency injection. We are using here .NET 5. We are using here ASP.NET Core 5. So this is a site, if you want to refer, which we built on .NET 5 by using the same design patterns. Got it? And guys, can you tell me how much you involved for writing the unit test cases? Do you write the unit test cases as well?
No.
So do we have any plan to write the unit test cases?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so next topic is here about the unit testing. So many people having a confusion. They having the confusion actually. The testing is the job of QA engineer, or you can say the tester. You're right. They are also responsible for the testing. But when it is coming to the unit testing, so unit testing is the responsibility of developers, not of the QA team. So what is the unit testing? So unit testing is a software testing method where we are checking the fitness of a unit, or you can say fitness of a class, of a method, whatever you write inside your code. So what is that single unit? The single unit can be a class, that single unit can be a function, that single unit can be a block of code that is having one and only one responsibility. So make sure that class, let method you wrote to implement only one responsibility. If you're having a method where you having multiple responsibility, so please decompose that method into the multiple one, so that you will have only one responsibility over there. So a function here can have multiple unit test cases based upon the dependency they have, because sometimes a method can return different outputs based upon the input you are passing. So based upon the different outputs, you can have the different unit test cases, or you can say the multiple unit test cases you can have. And one more thing the people discuss, what is the test driven development? What is the TDD approach? So when it is coming to the test driven development approach, it is a software development technique to develop the test case, to develop the software using the unit testing. So what we do in the test driven development, we first write the unit test cases without writing the code. So when you will first write the unit test case without writing the code, what will happen? Your code will fail. It will be in the red state, because so far I didn't write any code. Now to pass that unit test case, I write the sufficient code. So that test case would be in the green state. And you can say the test case will pass. So first we start writing a failing unit test case. Then we write the sufficient code to make the test pass. And when the test will pass, we refactor it into different layer. So this is style, if you are following for building the software, it means you are following the test driven element. So commonly what happens, we first write the code. Actually, we start from here commonly. Then we make it green. So only in these two stages we move, if you're talking about the normal element. But in the test driven element, you need to think about the situation first. What can be the situation, what the output are possible over there. So do the analysis in that area. It is just like a storytelling, a story writing. You first preparing the story of the task. After that, you writing the code. Got it? So that is about the test driven element. And to understand the test driven element, let's do a pretty much simple example so that you able to relate it. Because so many people are don't able to relate the unit testing. I hope guys you have opened your project. Have you opened your project?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's open your project. And what I'm doing here, just add a unit testing project. So what I'm doing here, I'm just going to add a unit testing project. So just do right click here, add the solution label, then add new project this way. Then I can make it search for unit testing. So when you're looking for the unit testing, so we'll have the various option over there to add the unit test project. So you can see I'm getting this option unit test project, where we will find out C#, Linux, Mac OS, Windows. So I'm using this project, unit test project. Are you getting it? Okay, just select here this unit test project, then click on the next button. And we are going to test cases here for my web app. For the web app, we are writing the test cases. So this is my web app. Click on the next button. Then I'm using here the .NET 5 is my target framework. Simply make sure you are typing the things properly. How many people are not able to get the same template?
I'm not able to get the same template. Could you show
What
it?
template you are getting?
Yes, this WebDriver, unit test project, MS test unit test project. A unit test project is simply for .NET framework.
So you can just check for the MS test like this. Are you getting this MS test?
MS test. Getting MS test project. And unit X unit not.
MS test you will not get, actually you will get only unit test. So you will get unit test using .NET framework and
Yes.
unit test using .NET Core. Are you getting this one? Two projects should be there, unit test using .NET framework or unit test using .NET Core or Windows, like this way.
.NET Core one I'm not getting. In my case, it is N unit test project.
No, I don't have .NET Core over there. .NET Core is written in the description of the project type.
Yes, but
Can you share your screen?
yes, yes. I will just.
Can you scroll down? More. You're getting here MS test project. Go to the top level. Note, there is a MS test template here in your case. Can you scroll to up? Hold on, hold on, hold on. There is a MS test project. The top one, C#. This one. Just select this template. So everyone need to select the MS test if you're getting the MS test one. Even let me see whether I'm getting this one. I'm sure I should get MS test also.
Please share your screen.
So in my case, I'm not getting here MS test. Actually, I'm getting here only unit test. So not an issue, both are same, MS test. So if you're not getting, just try to find out the MS test project. Shall we go ahead now? Okay, so I'm using this unit test project and I'm just writing the unit test cases for my web app. So web app unit test this way. Click on the next button. Then .NET 5. So we added for a unit testing also here. Shall we go ahead now? I hope everyone has created this project. I'm right. Have you created this project?
Yes, it is created, but it is saying some error like test method, test class. Those are some error is coming.
Give it time. It is trying to restore some NuGet package, I'm sure. Look at the status bar of your Studio. Is it processing something here?
Yes.
So hold on, it might be restoring the things.
Yes.
Shall we go ahead now, guys? Can you confirm from your end if you have created this one? Okay, very good. So now the requirement is here. Let's say I'm going to build a calculator. I'm just going to start a very much simple example so that you will understand how actually we can follow the test driven element. So think about you having a task to build a calculator. So how actually we write the things for calculator building? We will create a calculator class first, then we add the method over there, add, subtract, multiply, divide, and we write the code over there. This is the way how we build the things. But in test driven element, we never build the things like this way. We actually first think about the use cases, or you can say test cases. So here I'm just going to write my test cases for my calculator class. Let me rename it to the calculator a unit test. This is my class which I'm adding. Let me test here add method. So I'm assuming here we will have a calculator class, and in that calculator class we having the add method. That add method we are willing to test. So what I will do here, I'm just going to add here my calculator class object calc. But so far we don't have the calculator class. I'm assuming we will create it. So this is my calc which I will create for my calculator. So let me use here calc equal to new calc. And let's say when you build in the calculator class, we are assuming we will have a add method. And to the add method, we will pass two number. I'm passing here num1 and num2. In num1, I'm passing here, let's say 3. In num2, let's say I'm passing here 5. These two values I'm passing. Now we will get the result, obviously. So we will get the result here. So what are the calc we having? Calc dot call the method sum. In the sum, I'm passing here two parameters, num1 and num2. This way. So guys, when it is coming to the unit testing, so in unit testing, we having the AAA. So first A is about the arrangement. So please arrange all the dependency. This is about the arrangement. And the second thing we having here, second A is about action, perform the action. So I'm calling here the action. The third A is about assertion, means verify the test cases. So first arrange all the dependency, then do the action, then verify the changes. So here we having a assert class. In the assert class, I can use here the method r equal. So in case of r equal, we always compare the expected value with actual value. So what is the expected value? Expected values here, it should return the num of num1 and num2, whatever the value would be there. And actual value is a result. So result is my actual value. If both are equal, it means it is pass. This test case is going to pass over there. So this is the way we just writing the first test case for the add method. But so far we don't have any calculator class. So if you build the code now, it will fail. It is failing because we don't have so far any calculator class. So right now, as per the TDD approach, we are in the red state. Is it clear? So code I shared with you, please do complete and let me know. So we are right now in the red state. So I shall we go ahead now? Okay, so now we need to pass this test case. How we'll pass it? We'll pass it by making the class calculator. So let me make a class calculator this way. Make it public. Then add here add method. And I'm adding here a method public integer sum. This I'm adding it. I'm passing it two parameter. Let's say integer num1, integer num2. And finally, return the sum of these two numbers. So I just write here my calculator class to complete this one. Now let me build the code. It is building now. Let me test it also. So for testing, we having this test explorer. Open the text explorer. And inside your text explorer, you will get all the test cases like this way. Now let's run them. So when you will run them, it will run the unit test cases like this way. So it is in green state. If let's say I'm changing something in my logic, let's say my logic is not returning this one. Let's say it is, I'm changing some logic to show you how it can be filled. And finally, return here result this way. And then run the test case again. This time it will fail because the expected value will not match with the actual one. So if you're looking at here, it is failing. Even failing reason also it is telling to you. The expected value is here 8, but actually is coming 10. So because of this mismatch, it is failing now. So this is we check the fitness of our unit. So unit testing is all about checking the fitness of the unit. So make sure it is correct. Note this way. Let me save it and run the test cases. It will be green now. So it is now green. There is no issue over there. So do you have any query regarding this approach? Good to go ahead.
Alendra, can we add the details here, like what is the expected output and what is the current output? What is the input and what is the expected output, and normally how we are writing the test cases?
Normally we write this way. This is my expected value. This is the actual one.
No, I want this to be shown in a test case result. After test case execution,
You need
is
to
that
debug.
anything to be done?
In that case, you need to debug. By default, you will not get it anything. It will show only test your pass or fail.
Okay. So if in case of any complex program, it will be very difficult to find out what is the exact error.
No, if error will be thrown, that error it will display in the message. As I change the value, at that time it is showing the error. If it is passing,
Yes.
so there is no meaning to look at what is happening over there. If you're willing to see how it is passing, just need to debug it, just put a breakpoint here and start debugging. There is option available, right click, and we having the debug test like this way. It is coming now. I'm debugging here. Go to that class. I'm passing here num2. Then returning the result. Result is here 8. Now here I'm comparing it. What it is returning? It is returning here true. That's
No,
it.
I am the developer. I have also write the code and I have also written the unit test cases.
Yeah,
And
right.
I will execute it. Okay. So in case of a complex program, I just written the test cases, and I want to know the where the test cases fails. So without debugging, is it possible? Because in a
The same thing saying then the test case will fail. That time it will tell you the issue. If let's say if it is failing, I'm putting here let's say +1.
Yes.
It will tell you that time why it is failing. Now can see it is failing because this is the message coming. Here expected value is 8, but actually is 9.
Yes.
And this is line number 25. So getting the detailed message now, why it is failing.
Yes.
But suppose I want to test some multiple data, like we have one view page where we are displaying 10 records. That means what? Suppose we have seen that in our view page, in the first page, we need that these 4 records be required, and we need to test whether these 4 records are displaying or something else is displaying there. So how we can test it? Because here we are testing, we are comparing with the single value.
Sir, you need to first understand here when we write the unit test cases. So we write the unit test cases for UI logic separately, business logic separately, data access logic separately. So right now, what are the test case I shown only to test the behavior of a calculator class at method. Now I'm just going to write the unit test case for my controller. So when I will write the test case for controller, that query would be clear. Please hold on.
Sure. Okay.
Anything else? So I hope it is clear to you how we can follow the TDD approach. Now the thing is how we can write the unit test cases for our code, which we write in our web application. I think you have completed this code. One more thing should do here. Let's refactor it. For the refactoring, what you can do here, you can move this class to the some other project. Let's say I'm moving this class here. I'm moving this class to the some different project. This is my calculator. I'm moving there like this way. I'm doing the refactoring now. Now add the repository project reference here like this way, and the missing namespace like this way. So this is the refactoring we have done. And this is similar to now. There's a refactoring we have done. So now we have completely done all the 3 steps. First is about writing the failing unit test case, then make it pass, then it will be in green state, then improve the code quality by refactoring simply. And guys, when you're looking for the advantage of unit testing, you will find out development would be faster. There is no doubt initially it looked like development is slow because you have to write down in test cases as well. But after few sprint, let's say 1 or 2 sprint you will deliver, you will find out development is faster. The reason is here, every developer is now aware of the workflow of the project, because unit test cases are just like we having the technical document. So if somebody is writing the unit test cases, actually is maintaining the technical document of his task. So debugging by understanding the flow, unit testing help us a lot. And the benefit of this approach is in future, if you're willing to do some changes in the code when it is in maintenance, that time we will not start replicating it. Because the same method I can test it, the same method behavior I can test it with the alpha unit test cases. And if few changes we need to do later on, we can do it without rewriting the similar method again. So ultimately the unit testing is reducing the future code. Future code means the code when we write in maintenance phase. And when it is coming to the unit testing framework in .NET, we use MS test framework and unit and XUnit. So these are the framework that people use commonly when they write the unit test cases. So initially there was the difference much in MS test and unit and XUnit, but now there is no much difference. MS test also has been improved a lot. Initially the MS test having some limitation, but nowadays it is not having, it is having the same set of features as available in XUnit. So as XUnit, they made it a smaller one. This is actually designed by the NUnit team. So NUnit team make the XUnit also, that is specially targeting the .NET. But here we are using the MS test, and I don't feel any difference in the MS test. Or let's say I don't find any issue, or let's say limitation or MS test. What are the things we can do with XUnit? Same thing we can do using the MS test. So whenever you're using one of the unit testing framework, we need the test runner as well for running the test cases. So each framework having its own test runner. MS test having the MS test runner that is built in with the Visual Studio. You don't need to download anything from outside. But if you're using the NUnit and XUnit, so that time we need to download the XUnit test runner and NUnit test runner with the help of NuGet packages. So let's see how we can use here MS test framework for writing the unit test cases. So I'm just going to write the unit test cases for my this product controller class. So let me add a one more test class. I'm adding here a new item. And this time I'm looking for, I'm adding a class. In fact, I'm adding a simple class, which I'm writing here product controller unit test. It is here product controller unit test. This is the class I'm adding. Let's make it public. Inherit it from the, don't inherit, just decorate it with test class. Test class. Now I'm just going to write the unit test case for my define methods over there. So if you're looking at here for the unit testing, we can test this method behavior. So let us start with a very basic example, like instead of getting started with this the complex one. Let's say we having a method here which we added initially. If you remember, initially we just write a method for returning the list of product only. That's a product repo. Then we having a get all method this way. And we having here where data. And this data you're returning. I just add this method here for listing purpose in my product controller. And for this one, I will write the code. I have added this list method in my product controller. Make sure you have also added. Have we completed this one? Do you have any query? Shall we go ahead now? Okay, so the thing is, when we write the unit test cases, we never write the unit test cases as per the data we having in the database. We always write the unit test cases on the fake data. So we need to create our own fake data set. Based upon that, we write the unit test cases. So I need to create here a list of product. I need to create here the list of category so that we can write down unit test cases for the list of category. We can write down unit test cases for the list of product. So that fake list we need to prepare so that we know what is the expected value and what is the actual value. Because the objective is here to test the behavior of this index method. We don't care what this method is returning. Because my objective is here, I'm checking this index behavior. It is working as expected or not. If you want to check the behavior of this product repository, then write the separate unit testing for the repository. So for repository, we will have a separate unit test project This test project is only testing the behavior of this action. We don't care about the dependencies, what is happening. Got it? So that's why I would create here the list of product. So let me define here a constructor. I'm adding constructor. Let me add here product P1. This I'm adding P2, P3. I'm adding here category C1, C2. Let me create here the list of product. So I'm creating here a list of product. So it is, let's say, product list I'm having here. I'm having here category list. So this is my category and this is my category list. Now let me initialize my project class. Let's say product ID equal to 1. We having the product name. Let's say I'm adding here MVC book. I'm having a description. As a description, let's say I'm having here MVC book. I'm having here category ID, let's say 1. I'm adding here some random product P2, P3. This P2, this P3, 2, 3. So here, let's say Azure book. It is here, let's say Angular book. So this is my Azure. This is my Angular. That's fine. Let's say Angular training. We adding here Angular training. Let's say category ID. We having 2. Similar way, we having category here. Category ID 1. Category name. I'm putting here category name. Category name, let's say books. We have C1 and we have C2. 2 and this is my courses. Now let me initialize the product list here. So initially it will take time because I need to create my fake database. Then we having a product list. Then add P1. Then P2. Then I'm using here category list equal to new list category. Then use here category list. Then add C1. Use C2 also in this way. So this is the way we actually created here a fake database for product as well as category. I hope you have also created it. Code I shared through the chat window, you can copy from there and use it. And guys, please do let me know when you will complete. Guys, what about others?
Hello. Hello, Sunil.
Tell me.
So, is there any way we are having data in database, and as per the database, it will create the fake database in the .NET code something. As per the database, we have the data in database, so it will create the fake database in the application.
Actually, we don't have any way, but we having the fake object concept. So we having the fake object concept that can be used. So we having here new get .org. So guys, make sure you have completed fake.core. So this one can be used. Fake.core, fake it easy. So for creating the fake object for an application.
Okay. Okay.
This library can be used if you're not willing to use those things over there. So fake it easy, the people use mainly the project side. So it provides us the fake data easily.
Okay.
So now the thing is, I'm just going to create the object of my controller class to test it. So this is my product controller. I'm testing product controller. So, but make sure we added the reference of repository and del also. All the references I'm adding here. So all the references we added simply. So product controller and this is the namespace using this namespace. Oh, let me build a project. So del we don't need to add, we need to just only add this verb. One mistake I did here, actually by mistake I added the unit testing reference at the top level. So don't add here the reference, even don't add del reference over there. It is by mistake. Add the WebAPI reference in your unit testing project. That's it. So now this controller class object I need to create. CTRL equal to new product controller. But when we are going to create the product controller class object, I need to have this iUnitWork interface implementation. So what I will do here, for this iUnitWork, I need to pass again a fake object for this iUnitWork. So in this case, we are using mocking. So we having the mocking. So mocking help us to create the fake object for us, or you can say the fake implementation for the methods. And these are the mocking framework we have. So we have AMOQ, we have ReanoMock, TypeMock. So let me install here a new get package for AMOQ. I'm managing new get packages. Then look for AMOQ. So this is a new get package I'm installing here. So this way I'm installing simply. So I added this one into my application here simply. So have you added this reference for AMOQ? Now I'm using here mocking. First of all, I did reference using AMOQ in this way. I'm using here mocking for iUnitWork. iUnitWork mocking I'm using, let's say EOW. So there is a mock class. Inside the mock class, I'm passing the class, the interface for which I need to create the mock object, or you can say fake object. So now here I can write it UOW equal to new, then mock object. Now here I can pass UOW dot object. It automatically pass the fake object. So for controller, make sure you add it at top label, product controller and AMOQ. Here also you added the UnitWork and controller this way. So this way we added it simply. Now I can write the code for testing the list method, test list method. So make sure first everyone has completed this arrangement. So whatever we have done, we completed first day, that is about the arrangement. So this way we have arranged the dependency simply.
For mock, what do we need to add extra?
For which one?
Mock of iUnit work.
For mock, make sure you have installed a NuGet package for MOQ. So there is a package MOQ. And at top label, this is a namespace need to add. Namespace I just shown in the, I shared through the chat. You can copy from there and use it. So have we completed this one? Shall we go ahead? Siva Mohan, make sure you added the reference of web app inside your unit testing project. So these things, make sure you have checked properly. This reference, make sure you add it. And this package, make sure you add it over there. If you're not, just do right click here, add project reference. And here this project reference need to add. Anything else? Package name MOQ only, this way. So when you will look for the package, it is MOQ only. Tapas, make sure you have not added the reference of unit testing project in the web app, which I added by mistake. It should have only the reference of repository. So if you having the reference of unit testing project, please remove it. So have you added a reference of web app into your project? Web app and repository as well. It is having this error because from the web app, first need to remove the reference. In the web app, remove the unit testing reference. Remove it. Now come to unit test project again and add it. It is working fine now. Build the code. Make sure you added the product controller reference namespace. It would be web app. Web app. Dot controllers. Dot product controller. So that's fine. Product only controllers. For any to work as well, make sure you added the same thing. Guys, what about others? Have we completed this one? Jyotiven, Preeti Pranagya, Sudhakar, Shubhra.
Yes, completed.
Okay, if we have completed, let's do until let's have a 10 minutes break. After the break, we will continue to test our controller action method. Is it fine? So now let's see how we can write the unit test cases for this test list. So here, if you're looking at in this my product controller, what is happening in this list method, I'm calling the product repository get all method. So this product repository get all method I'm calling. So whenever you will call this get all method, so this actual call we need to skip, we need to stop. So how we can do his stubbing? We can do his stubbing using the mockup. So just do his setup. So you need to work, then we having here setup. This is the one we having here. Then setup. Then set up here the mockup. So I'm just going to set up here mockup. What mockup? When you will call here product repo get all method. Then it should return here. It should return the list of product. So what are the list of product we having? So we having here product list. This one. So this one I'm passing. So this is my product list which I'm returning. So ultimate goal is here. I'm not willing to call this get all method. In fact, this get all method call I need to skip. How can I skip? I can skip it by doing the stubbing. This is the way how we can do the stub. I'm skipping it now. Now let me perform here the action. So we having now action. So as action now, let call here ctrl dot list. It is here list one, and we are returning here view result. This is the view result. So let me convert into the view result. View result in this way, and this is my where result. Where result equal to view result. Let me add the missing namespace. This way we added it. Now let me compare. I'm just going to use here asset. So I'm just using here the, it will return here actually a list of record. So list of record it will return. So inside that list of record, I need to check the existence of product P1 and the product P2. So before that, let me get the model. So I'm using here result dot model, and just model typecasting we need to do here list of product. So into this list of product, I'm doing the typecasting. Now let me use a collection asset, then contains. Collection asset dot contains do pass here collection. What is the collection? It model. What I'm looking for, I'm looking for P1. So this is my P1 and P2. So P1 is your MVC book, P2 is your Azure book. So P1 and P2, I'm checking here, P1 and P2. Because here you are looking at in the list, I'm added here only P1 and P2. So if my index method is working fine, so whatever the data will return by this method, this data also written by this list action over there. Same I'm checking. I'm checking the existence of here now P1 and P2. So this is the test list method we having. You need to check it out here simply. Now run the code to test it. So if everything is fine, it should be passed. So where it is failing, I think. Okay. This method is not coming. The reason is here, I have not added here an attribute test method. Until will not add here test method, it will not available. Now test it. Even in my calculator class as well. Let me fix that issue. 538. And now let me remove this one. Now test it. It should run the code without an issue this way. It is passing. If you want to fail it, just do check the existence of P3. So it would be here failed. If I will check here P3, if you will test it now, it will failed. It is failing this way. But if you don't want to fail it, then use here does not contain. Does not contain this way. Now test it. Does not contain. Now it should pass. It is passing now this way. Does not contain. So it's a negative test case, negative test case, and this is the positive one. This is the positive test case. So whatever data is coming only for that resistance we are checking. So it's a positive side to test it, and this is a negative side to test it. To make sure it is not containing the any other object. So this is the negative side to test it. So guys, are you getting the same behavior as I'm getting here?
Actually, I'm not able to test in Test Explorer.
What it is saying?
But nothing is coming. Actually,
Make sure you added test attribute at the test list method. This one was missing.
Even if even if it is before, it was not working. And then I just changed the mock, reinstalled that, then again come up with that, and still it is not working.
How to test the product controller test class?
Which one?
When you are executing the in the test explorer, there is a product controller list test. How to run this class, particular this class?
Just right click and run it.
But it is not showing in my test explorer.
It is not showing if you have not added test class over there. Test class should be there and test.
No, it is already added. Already added.
Have you built the code?
Yes.
So do share your screen, then I can see what is happening.
Test.
Can you open the test explorer? Can you expand it? Both are coming. Both are passing.
Can I share my screen? Yes. This is coming like this.
Have you built the code?
Yes. Just now also I built once again.
Only build the test project. I think there is an issue at the project level. Can you open your project dependency? In the project reference, what it is saying? The below one.
Reference.
Below one. Projects. What it is saying? Dell repository issue there. Can you rebuild only this project? Just set a start a project. And rebuild. So always use rebuild option when something is not coming. Can you check now? There are two test cases are coming. I think you click on the result. Can you click on this lab icon?
Which icon?
Lab icon. Last one, this one. It is coming.
Okay. It's coming in disabled mode. So shall I run?
Now run from the left arrow icon.
Yes. Thank you.
Guys, what about others? Is it working fine?
When in Test Explorer, I'm not getting the test list method.
Have you added test method attribute?
Yes, I've added.
Can you share a screen? At class level, test class is not there.
It is failed now because I have written contents. Okay.
Santosh, Shiva. Okay. So the thing is, make sure you added the test class at your product controller test. So the thing is, you have not added test method attribute. Add test method in line number 48. Add test method here. Guys, what about others? Build the project, then you will get it here. Can you scroll to top? Just show me the references. What the references you having? I think you did the same mistake. Just click on the lab icon. In the text explorer, there are delete this one. I hope everyone has completed. Okay. Now the similar way we can write the unit test case for create, edit and delete method as well. So let me complete the code for create method as well. Test create one. So what we having create one. I'm writing for post method like test create post method. We are going to pass a product class object, and if it is succeeded, it will redirect to the index page. So this one we need to check here. So same thing, I'm just going to write here. So there are two cases. One is here for pass. We'll be passing the everything, and another one is here for the field. So I'm taking the pass case. So where result equal to, it should be here ctrl, then create. In create, let's pass p3. If everything is fine here, should return here redirect to action result. Means redirect to action result. So it is we having the action and asset would be here asset dot r equal. So expected one is here redirect to action result, then result. Instance of type. Okay, it should be a result. So guys, here one thing we can check out here. Okay. So better is here, instead of using the type, because this is not the right one, we should check here the action name. So action name is here actually index, this one. So where it is going to the index one. So the result, then we having the action name. So let me convert it here. Let me convert it here, redirect to action result. And we having the action name. So this action name must match with this redirect to action if it is doing it successfully. This way. So now let me test it here. Line number 42. Okay, one thing also we need to actually skip here. This add method also we need to skip. So make sure as we set up here, same way we set up here also. That setup part I missed here. So here make sure when you are calling this add method, it is passing here P3. It is passing here P3. It should not return anything. It should be here callback. And the callback, it should be here. It should add a value, in fact. In callback, I'm adding a value of product type. Then into the product list, let me add it. Product list, and then add P here. This way. Now test it. Now let me test it. Now it is going to pass. So it is failing because I didn't skip this one. Until you will not skip this one, it will throw the exception. So this way I'm checking here, it is redirecting to the action name index. In fact, we can check one more thing. Make sure the data has been added into the product list. So into the product list, we should have collection asset dot contains what? Product list should contain now which one? It should contain the E3. This way. Now run it. So this is for adding whether it's added into database or not. And this is for checking for action, redirect action. So this way we should test our create method.
What type of changes you have done in the product controller?
Product controller, I have not done any change. So shall we go ahead now? I hope you have completed this one. I'm right. But if you're looking at this create method, we having the two cases. One is here when we are passing the product model properly along with all the values. Another case is this validation might failed. So in that case, it should return the view result. Got it? It should return the view result, and this one I need to skip. So we can have the another test case also for this one. Test create post when we having here validation failed. Validation failed. In validation failed, what I'm doing in P3, that's I'm changing the value of name. That's it is here null. I'm adding like this way. So make sure you having the validation over there. So do we have validation? Yeah, we having the validation. So it should failed now because I'm explicitly putting the name as null. So what should be here? It should be now here view result. Even we should skip this get all method as well from the category repo. It should be category repo and get all method this way. And it should not be the callback. It should be here returns. In returns, we will have now category list this way. And finally, it should not return okay. So when it is coming to this one, so in the result, we having so asset dot are equal expected then actual then value view name. So what should be the view name? Great. This way. Let me test it now. I think view name is not returning. System dot null exception. Line number 42. Okay, I think it is coming inside this one. So okay, let me test it. I think it is not failing. That's it is happening like this way. So it is coming valid. Name null is coming, product ID is coming. So it is not throwing any exception. So just do one thing. Actually, I have not added the view model explicitly. So let me check the name explicitly. If a string dot is null or empty for model dot name, Then add error into model state explicitly. Add model error. So I'm adding for name. Please enter name. This way. So these codes loop false are coming now. If you're looking at here, I hope now everything is fine. So now let me test it. So let me debug the test case. So this way it is coming now. It is invalid. Okay. Result. And view name is coming here null because we are not returning any view name. Okay, now it's fine. So it should be here a view name as null. That's it. Now run the test case. It is passing now properly. So this is the way we can test for another one. So this is about checking the validation. So make sure your validation are working fine. If you're not working, please apply them.
Product name is set as required, so it should throw error when we are giving it as null. In the
But
data annotation,
the thing is where I have not added the error message explicitly. You need to add the error message explicitly, then it will work. What you need to do here, it's required, but error message not there. If you want to fix it, you can fix like this way. Please enter name. Until you will not add this error message, it will not work. Now check it. Now I'm testing it. So let me put here the breakpoint and see what it is saying now. So it is coming here this way. Okay. The thing is, it's not working because actually I'm not posting the form. Here model binding is not working because it's not a post request. It is a simple method calling. So that's why it is always valid. Got it? So this code will not work because of it's not a model binding. This is a reason only you have to check it explicitly. So reason is here is not because of this error message. This is because of there is no model binding concept is happening here. That's why it is failing. That's simple. So you need to check it explicitly like this way.
Can you share the code line 39 to 43?
39, I'm sure you already having.
Yeah.
Only need to add 42. So guys, now shall we go ahead now? So guys, shall we go ahead now? Have we completed this one?
It is not giving any error. Like the last one is not failing for mine.
How many people has completed this one? So now we have been good to go ahead. Okay, so unit testing, I hope now you having the understanding properly here. How we doing it? So now let's proceed to the next topic here. So next topic is about here Web API. Similar way, you can write the unit test cases for edit, update, and delete also, as I wrote for this one. So when it is coming to the ASP.NET Core Web API, so it is based upon the REST style, REST architecture.
Are you showing something because your sharing is off?
Let me share. So in case of REST, we having these 5 principles. So what are these 5 principles? The first one is here, addressable resources. It means each resource should be identified by a URI. And this URI should be unique. So URI is nothing. URI is actually URL plus HTTP method. So HTTP method can be get, post, or anything. So URL plus HTTP method is equal to URI here simply. The second one we having a simple and uniform interfaces. So you should keep your interfaces simple and uniform. And this simplicity and uniformity can be achieved by using the HTTP and HTTPS protocol and its method. Because HTTP protocol is known to everyone, even its method also known to everyone. So by using HTTP protocol, get, post, put, and delete method, we can achieve this. Next one, we having the representation oriented. So we are accessing the representation of data. So data representation is many format like in XML, like in JSON. These are the various format can be used for returning the data from a web API. So here we are not sharing the schema, we only sharing the representation of data. Next, we having the communicate stateless. So here we don't have any session specific data management technique. As we having the session in ASP.NET Core, if user is logged in, you can access it. No, we don't have here completely stateless. If you're willing to maintain the session, so that session is specific information need to pass in each request. Then we having here cacheable. So WebAPI data client should able to cache on the client side so that it can use for further use. So this is about the REST architecture, and any service which is following this principle is referred to as REST service. So ASP.NET Core WebAPI based upon those RESTful architecture, even support the ASP.NET Core MVC features as well, like controller, model binding, action, filter. Same features are available in MVC, same WebAPI is also supported. Even it support the Swagger as well for documentation purpose. So let's see how we can create our API over here. And to the same solution, I'm just going to add here a one more project. Let me add here a one more project for API. So make sure guys, you're doing right click at the same solution and just make search for web API this way. So you should get here ASP.NET Core Web API project template. Are you getting it? Okay, so just select this template, ASP.NET Core Web API, click on the next button, define the project name, defining the project name, let's say Web API. So Web API is my project name here. Then can you say again? So this is my project name, Web API. Click on the next button and go ahead with this default setting, what is here. I'm proceeding further. Now create your ASP.NET Core Web API project. And by default, you will get there a weather forecast controller. Are you getting this weather forecast controller here? Okay, very good.
Where it is hitting?
It is just like a project we created the MVC. Similar way, we creating the WebAPI project simply.
Yes.
Surendra, can you create a web API without creating a web API project?
You can create, there is no issue. Just create the empty project and later on you can add the setting.
No, without empty project, can we create with a ASP.NET Core project? Normally, what initially we have done.
That calls, in that case, actually you are mixing the MVC and WebAPI together. So here I'm not willing to add the support for MVC. I'm only adding the support for WebAPI only.
Okay.
So into your MVC project also WebAPI can be added. But there you will have both the support, MVC as well as WebAPI. Here we are using only API, not the MVC.
Okay.
So anything else?
No.
Shall we go ahead now? So the thing is, this default weather forecast controller, I'm deleting it. And this one also I'm deleting it. And just do one thing, just add the reference of repository. I'm adding the reference of repository here because we need to perform the database operation. So we already write the code in the repository. Same I will use here in my WebAPI. So make sure everyone is adding the reference or repositories into the WebAPI project. Are you adding it? Can you confirm it? Okay, so we added the repository reference. Now here let's add a one API controller. I'm adding here a new controller. And make sure this time you selected the API controller, not the MVC one. So this time the controller is here API1, this one API controller empty. Last time we selected the MVC, but this time we are selecting the API1. Have you selected the API controller? Can you confirm through the chat? Okay. I'm selecting here API controller empty, add it. So this is my API controller. I'm defining my API controller name as, let's say, we having the product controller. So now define your API controller name as product controller. So this way we added it now simply. Then I'm adding here public I action result, not I action result. Okay, that's fine. We can go ahead with action result. There's no issue. I'm adding here, let's say constructor. So same way as we added the things in web app, we added the connection string, we added the startup thing. Same way, make sure we added the connection string here in WebAPI also. So guys, please copy the things from the app setting.json of your web app and put it in your WebAPI app setting.json. So this way, I'm just going to copy and putting here. Connection string I added. Now same way at the service dependency. So the service dependency, we having the add DB context, we having the I need to work. Same code, you have to just do copy and paste. Nothing is new here. Same code I just copied from my web app to unit testing one. Sorry, to the WebAPI one. So have you added it? Have we completed the setting in app setting.json and startup class? Okay, if you have completed, just open your product API controller. And here, let me inject I unit of work. I unit of work I'm using here. And like this way, let me inject it underscore unit of work. This way I'm using the unit of work. Let me define here public I action result. Then we having here get products. Finally, and then return is underscore unit of work. And then we having here product wrapper. Product wrapper. Then get all in this way. And here actually we are returning here the list of products, so I can directly use enumerable product. So let me return here product here. And make sure you decorated it with HTTP GET. This is HTTP GET. So this we need to define here your API along with this code. Now you can run your API project. Just set the API as a startup project and test it. How it is working. Test the code and check out how it is working. So you can see we having here API product this way. Do click and try it out. Execute it. Oh, I'm getting the error here because unable to resolve the need to work. Okay. So there is a one mistake I did. It should be here. I need to work. Okay, this is the mistake was there. Now it will work fine. So Swagger support is by default there in ASP.NET Core Web API. You don't need to add anything explicitly. So you can see I'm getting the data here over there. Are you getting the data like this way? So starting from ASP.NET Core Web API 5, we having the support for Swagger here. So this is the way Swagger support is already there. You don't need to do anything. So make sure the API is coming and you're able to get the data as well. And this change, make sure you have done it. In place of you need to work, it should be I need to work. I'm sharing the code again. Make sure you're using that one. So do you have any other query regarding this one? Have you completed this? So you might be thinking from where it is working. So if you're looking at here in this Web API startup class, in Web API startup class, we having here add Swagger generation method, this one. Where we have defined my Swagger documentation version number V1, title is here Web API.
Is it by default or we have to add it explicitly?
It's added by default in ASP.NET Core Web API 5.0. But if you're using the older one, let's say something else, you need to add it manually. If you're using 3.1 and 2.1. Then they having this use Swagger and use Swagger UI. This is the one because this is the way how the Swagger UI I'm getting. So because of this Swagger UI we are getting over there. That's it.
In Web API startup class, do you need to change anything?
You have to just add this one. This dependency have you added?
Yes. Only DB context.
DB context one. So configure services method is same as we have in web app. Nothing is new.
What changes have you done in after initial run? I'm getting, I'm having no error, but data is not coming. What I have to change?
I just change here this unit of work class to unit of work. Guys, make sure everyone has completed this one. If you have any query, any doubt, if you're facing any issue, then do let me know.
Screen is not visible.
I'm not sharing the screen.
Which changes did you did in product controller?
Product controller code I already shared in the
Go
chat
to
window.
up. Debbie, go to up. Click on the try result. Debbie.
Yes.
Try it out on the right hand side.
Try it out. Click the try it out.
Hello.
And then
Yes,
execute.
then execute. Then click on the execute.
Tell me. Code I shared on the chat window. You can copy from there what I did.
I'm sharing my screen.
Okay, now it is working.
What I have to do?
No, actually, Shiva shared the message. I think you have shared your message.
Can you share it again?
Yes.
So in the line number 17, it should be I unit over. I unit over. Not here.
No. In
Unit
place
over,
of
unit
class,
over.
use the interface.
Now run the code.
Not coming.
No, here you click try it out. And the right hand side, execute. Click on the execute button.
Okay.
I hope guys, everyone is getting the output as expected. Do we have someone who is not getting the output properly? So good to go ahead. Okay. So this is the way we are getting the list of product. And if you're willing to understand this complete syntax, what is happening. So this we having a API controller, which is enabling the API convention. This is for here attribute routing. So API support the attribute routing, not the convention based routing here. And this is the HTTP get and the post attribute to put over there. And these are the parameters where we having the parameter binding. So what data we are posting, the data will bind to the action level parameters over there. Then this is the way how we can return the result. Okay, bad request, or anything else that we can return over there. And if it is coming to the WebAPI action result type, so WebAPI can return 3 types of result. Data only. So the example which we have done, it is the data only example. We can use here iAction result as well. In the iAction result, you will have the option to pass data as well as HTTP status code. The status code is let's say 200, 201, 500, 404. So status code also we can send if it is iAction result. And action result is nothing. It is the combination of a specific result plus iAction result equal to action result. So here we are passing the type also. Here we are not passing the type, but here we are passing the type. So these 3 return types are supported by the WebAPI. So as per the requirement, one of them you can use. If you are returning only data, use this one. If you're returning the data as well as status code, use this one. If you're returning the data, status code as well as a specific type, then use this action result T. So let's see how we can use these. So this is my specific one, but this code, let me write here one more method where I'm returning only one product. So what I will do here, I will define here my parameter ID. Then this is get product. I'm receiving here parameter ID here, and it would be here get, let's say find method, find by ID this way. And it is a single product, not the list of product. I'm returning a single product simply. Then add a method. So we having a method for add. It should be here HTTP post simply. Then let me receive here what I can receive, I can receive here product. So this is my product model. Then here we can wrap the code in try catch block. So if everything is fine here, we can actually use it like this way. Wrappo, then add pocket is underscore. We having here add method do pass model. Then you need to work, then set changes. If everything is fine, then return here status code return created. Or we can return here the status code status code status codes. Then we having here 201 created, and it should be here new. Sorry, just use here I action result as a return type, because this time we're returning the status code. If you want to return here any exception, so it would be here 500 as internal server error, status code 500 internal server error. Then values here. If you want to pass any error message, you can pass that error message as well, exception dot message this way. Even if you want to pass here the error message also, we can pass here credit. So this way what we are doing, we are returning the status code as well as data. We are returning the status code as well as data. So this is for HTTP post, we wrote it simply. So code I shared through the chat window. From there you can copy and use it. So have you completed this one also? Or what about others? So good to go ahead. Okay, so now we can write the code. This is for get products, get product add. Let me complete for edit also. So for edit, I can complete with, let's say, update. And for update, I can use a HTTP put request. And HTTP put request, I can pass here a parameter. This I'm passing the parameter. Let me pass here the value, integer ID. This is the value I'm having. Now, let me check out here if ID not equal to matching with model dot product ID. Then I can return here a bad request. Bad request. This way. Else do update. And this time it should be 200. And for 200, I don't need to use status code. I can directly use OK. So we having OK. If there is any error while creating it, I can use the status code, and as a status code, I can return 500 internal server error. So this one we having here for update. Similar way we can write for delete also. Let me use delete I action result, and it is here delete product http delete, and here let me call it delete. So this is delete and in it to work, and then we are being accepting this, and finally return the status code as OK. We can wrap it in try catch. If there is any exception, then we can return here the status code as bad request. Sorry, it is a internal server if there is any error while doing it. So this one we having here for delete. So all the methods we added here now, which are related to the get, post, put, and delete. If you run the code now, you will get all the methods are coming in the UI label. This way, I'm getting here get, post, get, put, delete. So if you're willing to add a product, I can try it out from here. Let's say I'm adding a product for React training. Product ID I don't need to pass here. Description also I'm adding here, let's say React training. Code you can copy from the chat I shared over there. ID1 simply, then click. It's added. For React training, you can see I'm getting a status code at 201. Response body I'm getting created. And if you want to see, I can make a get request. That is 6. So we having 6 for React training, try it out. 6, execute it. You can see I'm getting a React training over there. So in my case, it is working fine. If you're willing to update, you can update it here. Product ID 6, name React training, and you can update it. as let's say React JS training. Category ID one itself. So this I'm passing the value. So I can mention let's say React 17 training. ID 6. So okay. Something is not right. It is working fine now. It's 200 success. Update also working fine. You can try it again. Now again it is React 17 training. React.js. So this method also working fine. If you're willing to delete, do pass your ID. I'm passing here 5. Now 5 has been deleted with the status code 200. If we will get it now for 5, we don't have any data. It is empty. This way. So guys, everything we have done here with the crude operation of our web API, and we tested using the Swagger. Are you getting the same behavior at your end also?
I think I'm doing some mistake. Can I share my screen? So my data is not coming. Here, I think something I have to add. I took the reference of repository. Then here in startup class,
Can you
I have
open the
added.
product API controller? Go to top.
I have changed.
Have you defined the connection string app setting.json?
But I have used the repository.
App setting.json. Have you added connection strings?
No.
So you have to add it. Then you will connect to database. So copy the connection string from web app and put it here.
Try it out or optional.
Click on the get. Click on the execute. Click on execute button.
Yes.
What about others, guys? Tapan, Nitika, Raghavendra, Saurabh.
When I click on the post, then some error occurred.
Devi Prasanna.
Please check. Click on
It
the
is
post
error is
method.
coming because you don't need to pass product ID.
Okay. It will be delete.
It is auto increment column in the database. Now edit. It is created now. What about others? I hope everyone is completed. Is it fine? Okay. And guys, it's the same thing we can test here using the Postman also. Even Postman is the recommended tool when we testing the API. So what you can do here, you can download the Postman from the Get Postman site. Okay, they change the site as well, postman.com. Very good. So they're having the site postman.com. And from here, you can download the Postman. What the Postman they have, you can download it. So they having the product. Okay, so direct option actually they have removed, I think. Now they're asking for login. There is a desktop client which we need. So Postman download. There is a link available. Postman download. So from here you can download the Postman if you don't have. I'm already having at my local machine. So I'm opening the Postman. Using the Postman also I can test my same API. So this is my URL and I can test in my Postman product, then send it. Even Postman is the better option for testing the things as compared to the Swagger. Swagger is fine for the basic API testing, but if you're looking for the advanced API testing where you might having so many things, so their Postman is the preferred choice. So this is the way how the data is coming perfectly. If you want to pass here, let's say 1,2, you can have here, let's say 1, it is coming this way. So I prefer the Postman when it is coming to test the API, but that is also fine for the basic API setup. So do you have any query regarding this one, regarding the Postman? I hope you have already used such things. I'm right.
Yeah, I got some error actually. May I share you my screen? This one I'm trying actually, but it is showing that 405 method not allowed.
Your screen is not visible so far. It's loading. Can you share your screen again? We get loading.
Yeah.
Again, it is loading. Can you check your network connectivity at your end?
Yeah, it's available actually. Maybe it's being hanged actually. Let me share again.
It's again not showing. Sort of your screen not visible.
Yes.
Now there is no update. Guys, do we have someone who also facing the similar issue? If we have, please do share your screen.
In Postman, in which port you have access?
Postman,
In Postman, when you are accessing the API, you have given which port number?
what are the port you having for your running application?
In iOS, in Internet Explorer.
Hmm.
This is not working.
Make sure you're running the service as well as Postman. That is showing the Swagger issue. So make sure you have not changed anything in the startup class. Can you show me the startup class? I think something you changed. And the change part is, can you open the WebAPI startup? Okay, where you have removed the postman setting from the configure services method. I think you complete copied the things. There is a method add swagger gen, and don't mention that this add controller with views. I'm sharing the configure services method for API. This is the code you need to put in the configure service method, and make sure in the configure also you have defined the things properly. What about this? Code I shared with you. So good to go ahead now. Okay, so today's session I'm wrapping here. Tomorrow we talk about how this API we can consume in our ASP.NET Core, and the API other concept like parameter binding, content negotiation, versioning, and other things we discuss tomorrow. So do you have any other query regarding today's class? Is it fine?